Hello and welcome to Hooray Grammar Practice. The topic in this session is sentence structure. So, how many types of sentences are there when it comes to sentence structure? They are as follows: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Simple sentences are as follows. A simple sentence in grammar has only one main or independent clause and no dependent or subordinate clauses. Simple sentences have one subject and one verb or predicate. An independent clause, unlike a dependent clause, can stand alone as a sentence. To better describe this, let's understand how simple sentences are divided. So you've got your single subject plus a verb plus one direct object or modifier. For example, the cat stretched. The cat is your single subject, whereas stretched is your verb. Now, if you were to expand or take a longer sentence, you would have Jacob stood on his tiptoes. So you've got Jacob, which is your subject, then you've got stood, which is your verb. The direct object here is tiptoes. Similarly, you have the car turned around the corner or the car turned the corner. Kelly twirled in circles. She opened the door. Aaron made a picture. Some simple sentences have a single subject and verb, but the subject isn't stated in the sentence, which means that the subject is implied. For example, open the jar carefully, read the directions, don't cry, use common sense, make the best of things. Now let's take a look at compound sentences that go along with one verb. Now, what are these basically? They are simple sentences which consist of a compound subject as well as one verb. The subjects are joined by a conjunction like and. All perform the action described in the verb. Modifiers and direct objects are also used. For example, Sarah and Ira drove to the store. Jenny and I opened all the gifts. The cat and dog ate. My parents and I went to a movie. Mrs. Juarez and Mr. Smith are dancing gracefully. So how do you use one subject and a compound verb? Sometimes you will see simple sentences with more than one verb and a single subject. In this case, they are compound verbs. The subject is doing all the actions and the actions go together. For example, Misha walked and looked around. Here, Misha is a single subject, but she is doing two actions, walking and looking around, which makes them compound verbs, since they are joined with the conjunction and. The next one, my mother, which is again a single subject, is followed by hemmed and hawed over where to go for dinner. So hemmed and hawed is your or are your compound verbs. Similarly, you have sentences like he was eating and talking. I rinsed and dried the dishes. Joe stood up and spoke to the crowd. Here are some examples of longer simple sentences. Although a simple sentence can be a single word, it can also be much longer. Adding modifiers or multiple direct objects can extend the length of the sentence. Let us take a look at some examples. The mangy, scrawny, stray dog hurriedly gobbled down the grain-free organic dog food. I quickly put on my red winter jacket, black snow pants, waterproof boots, homemade mittens, and hand-knit scarf. The incessant ticking and chiming echoed off the weathered walls of the clock repair shop. As you can see, there are multiple elements here, but by adding modifiers and multiple direct objects, the length of the sentence has been compound sentence specifically. If you want to understand this very, very clearly, first you must understand that a compound sentence includes at least two independent clauses. For example, I like tea and he likes coffee. I like tea becomes the independent clause, which basically means that it could be a standalone sentence or a statement. It would make sense if you only write I like tea. However, if you use a conjunction, in this case and, to join another clause, he likes coffee, which again, individually or independently, could mean something, then it makes a compound sentence. Now, what are compound sentences ideally joined by? They're usually joined by a semicolon or coordinators such as for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Now let us look at examples where these coordinators have been used. Alex likes to fish and he is going fishing on Friday. Betty wishes she could be younger, for everyone else in the program is half her age. She is going to the movies or she is going to the mall. I am very smart, yet I do not enjoy school. Now, what is a complex sentence? A complex sentence consists of a dependent clause and an independent clause. So, look at the sentence given here. It says, when the cake is brown, comma, take it out the oven. Now, the first bit, when the cake is brown, individually does not stand or provide any meaning, therefore it is known as a dependent clause. But when you add the rest of the sentence, which is the independent clause, then it makes sense and gives you the complete information and meaning. A complex sentence, therefore, has an independent clause and at least one dependent clause, meaning that they could have multiple dependent clauses as well. But what is an independent clause? An independent clause can stand alone as a sentence. For example, the secret of life is honesty. This is one independent clause. However, if you want to write a longer sentence and use an independent clause there, for example, if you can fake that, you've got it made. You've got it made as an independent clause because independently it could also be a sentence. Now, what are dependent marker words? How do you identify them? A dependent marker word is a word added to the beginning of an independent clause that makes it into a dependent clause. For example, when Jim studied in the cafeteria for his chemistry quiz. This is an incomplete sentence, it's more of a phrase. And how do we know this? Because the word when has been added. Had the sentence been Jim studied in the cafeteria for his chemistry quiz, then it would have been an independent clause and it could have stood as a sentence. But the word when makes all the difference. Similarly, there are words such as after, although, as if, because, before, even if, even though, etc., which serve as dependent marker words. Now, here are some examples of complex sentences. Because my coffee was too cold, I heated it in the microwave. As you can see, I heated it in the microwave is an independent clause that can stand alone as a statement. But the word because used at the beginning, which is a dependent marker, changes the entire structure. Now here you've got multiple subjects, objects, etc. Similarly, although he was wealthy, he was still unhappy. She returned the computer. Again, an independent clause, but combined with a dependent marker such as after, and you have got another clause. She noticed it was damaged. Whenever prices go up, customers buy less product. Because I had to catch the train as we were short on time, I forgot to pack my toothbrush for a vacation. So I forgot to pack my toothbrush for a vacation can stand as an independent clause. That is the end of this session. All the best for your practice.